From shucking oysters to talking food with the founders. From quick snacks to the big contracts.
Hi, everyone. My name's Heidi Knoblauch, and I'm the host of Founders Fridge. Founders Fridge is a podcast where we talk to founders about what they eat while they're building their companies. On today's episode, we have Jonathan. He's building Real Recognizes Real, and we talk about Welch's gummies, starting every day with yogurt and chia seeds, and building a company as a student. Let's hear what's inside Jonathan's fridge.
Yeah, success got the drive and the hunger. But what's on your dinner plate? What keeps you going longer?
Jonathan, it is so awesome to have you on Founders Fridge.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you're building?
Yes, so I'm the founder and CEO of Real Recognizes Real AI, or realxreal for short. And we essentially do deepfake detection for everyone from grandmas to CEOs, powered by what AI can't fake, our shared memories.
Awesome. Wait, can you say a little bit more about that? That is so cool.
Yeah, so for example, like right now we're on a video conferencing call, and there's no solution currently on the market that allows just the average person to verify that the person that they're speaking with over phone, video, FaceTime, whether or not they're actually a deepfake, and whether they're the real person that you know in real life.
Wow. So how do you do that? So what's the method? You said by our shared memories?
Exactly. So I grew up, and I still am, like a huge sci-fi fan. And I've wondered, since I've been trying to solve this issue, how did, 20, 30 years ago, how did the great sci-fi writers solve the issue of deepfakes and doppelgangers and clones in their stories without, padding their protagonists with plot armor? And the primary way they solve these issues, like, for example, my mom's a huge Trekkie. There's a whole storyline about the changelings, and one of the crew members asked another crew member, what did we do together when we were in cadet school? And of course, the shapeshifter can't answer that question because it wasn't actually there, even though it sounds and looks like the person that you know and love.
That is so cool. So who uses it? Who uses this platform?
Yeah, so the idea basically is to make realxreal an open source, free to use, secure contacts app. So it doesn't matter if you use Android or iOS, but essentially your default contacts app would be replaced by realxreal. So instead of just having, name, phone number, email, maybe address, you'd have name, phone number, email, and a shared memory with that person. And that way, if ever something is ever kind of, as the kids say, sus, you can just send them a live challenge request to verify and authenticate that they are who they say they are.
So they're not like a what did you say, a cyborg?
I mean, in the sci-fi sense, yes, but in today's world, it's essentially just a deep fake. It only takes about 3 seconds of audio to create a realistic deep fake. And we're seeing issues and situations where people, like, family members are being targeted, mothers and sons. There's been multiple cases of hey, mom, I just got into a car accident. I need $500 for bail, or, I got to pay insurance, whatever, all the way up to the CEO of Ferrari was deep faked on a call. And what's really interesting is in that situation with Ferrari, one of the executives actually asked the CEO a question. He was like, what was the book that you recommended to me last week? And the deepfake couldn't answer it. So it's actually worked in practice in the real world.
Wow, that's awesome. All right, so we're going to get to food in a second, but I just want to talk about entrepreneurship and just your entrepreneurial journey. So is this the first thing that you've started?
Not quite. So I actually got my first kind of stint in the startup world when I was 15. It's actually the first cold email I ever sent. It was to a startup in San Francisco called Maracana.ai. And they were essentially doing soccer challenges for MLS, Major League Soccer fan bases, to try and help engage the audience because, soccer isn't as popular in the US as the NBA or as the NFL. So they were like, well, how can we help engage audiences of these football clubs to help them, get more tickets sold and things like that. So I essentially did a remote internship with the CEO and the CTO, kind of just like shadowing them, testing the product. I grew up as a soccer player. I still watch the Premier League every weekend. So I kind of brought this experience, if you will, at 15 years old of a soccer fan, a soccer player, someone who knew the game, could juggle a bunch because they had like a little AI model where you could do little juggling tricks and get points for it and like kind of compete against other fans.
Cool. So as a soccer player, I mean, this kind of leads right into food, right?
Yes,
So,
yes.
So I guess, right, like when you were playing soccer, when you were a kid, what were your kind of family traditions around food? And, just what was your relationship with food when you were growing up?
Yeah, so I can't not talk about my dad's sweet tooth, who, I mean, every Friday he would always get my sister and I candy. So that was like a big highlight of the week because my mom was like no candy whatsoever, but my dad would always like sneak to Walmart or something, always have like Twizzlers, or he was a big fan of Mike and Ike's. So like that the Friday pizza and candy was like a big thing. But I would say throughout the week, I was always like being an athlete, student athlete growing up. It was really about how do I get high calorie, high protein meals
Yeah.
3 times a day, and my mom was like really really strict about making sure I got enough calories in because I have a naturally like kind of thin body, so I had to make sure I kind of got closer to 3,000 calories. So it was like oatmeal and then a protein shake and then eggs and then bacon, for breakfast, and then lunch. I always grew up actually having my mom pack my lunch.
Right.
Um,
That's cool. Like, so what did it look like? Like, what was in the lunch?
yeah, so typically it was, I don't know if anyone else like has eaten this, but it was peanut butter and honey.
All right.
Because I didn't really like jelly growing up. So I was like, I don't really like jelly, but peanut butter and honey was actually really good. And especially like living in Colorado, like we have like natural honey, that you can get at the store from local farmers and things like that. So like that was a very fond memory. And then chips in my lunch pail, and I'm a huge fruit snacks person. Like I don't really do much candy anymore, but I love fruit snacks.
Like do you know what? I feel like when I was a kid and there were fruit snacks that had those like opaque ones, they almost like, you know what I mean? They're not like that see-through, they're like that
Yes.
opaque. I was like, wow, that is like top line gummy.
Yes, exactly.
They were always like, I felt like all the like I don't know, like more well-off kids had these like gummies that were like that opaque, like, you know what I mean? They were the shapes of whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like chilling with Welchers.
No, those are my favorite though. The
Oh, those are
Welch's
your favorite?
Yeah,
Oh,
the Welch's
why?
are my favorite.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
Still?
Yeah. They have like vitamin C in them now too, so it's like you're getting a little
All
bit
right.
of vitamins while enjoying a little snack.
Yeah, so you can trick yourself to think that they're like, this is good for me.
Exactly.
That's awesome. So you said in Colorado. So are you from Colorado?
Originally, yes. I wasn't born here, but I moved here about 2 months old. And I would say Colorado is such a cool place in terms of food. Like so many immigrants, and being a soccer player, you get exposed because the whole world plays soccer. So all the immigrants that move here, I grew up playing with Somalis and Ethiopians and Mexicans, and we have a whole like Korean, like literally just like a whole street in Aurora where it's just like Korean barbecue and karaoke.
Awesome. And so is that, did you start eating that type of food as well, just being around friends that were from other countries?
Exactly, yeah. Especially like I grew up going to school with a lot of Mexican kids, and for example, there were just so many students at my middle school and high school who were just hustlers. So they would always come in like selling the Mexican candy, kind of going back to that candy theme again.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was just like a really cool time of like just exchanging, like almost like when all the kids come to the lunch table and you kind of start like trading stuff, you know. So like you have like maybe one of your friends is from like Pakistan, and they bring something, and then you kind of have like an American lunch, and you kind of like trade stuff, trade snacks, get to taste new things.
Cool. And then you're a student, right?
Yes, currently, yes.
So where are you in school?
So I go to Rochester Institute of Technology, which is like on the other side of the country in upstate New York. Currently between a junior and senior, and I study applied math and cybersecurity. And then also I study anthropology and sociology. And that's kind of been one of the major strengths behind this current venture is combining the technical side of cybersecurity with the social side, because the whole concept of shared memory, it's very human in nature, right? And it's like, that tagline, what can't AI fake? Everyone's focused on what AI can do. But I've been thinking, well, what makes us innately human? For thousands of years, we've been able to verify and authenticate each other. And it's always been based off of memory and your who you are. And you have a bunch of stories throughout history of people who would impersonate someone because they kind of knew their story or knew who they were, and you wouldn't really meet someone. You just hear about them or read about them in the paper, or in history, and then someone might pretend to be, I don't know, Abraham Lincoln, and if you've never seen him, you wouldn't know.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So what's been the biggest challenge with the company?
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge has been kind of the go-to-market strategy. Like, do I go focus on B2C or B2B? Like, my heart is, how do I make RealXreal as accessible to everyone as possible? Because deepfakes and just impersonation broadly are becoming such a large issue right now. I think it's $200 million was lost in Q1 of just this year to deepfakes. And then I've also been trying to figure out, okay, for B2B, who do I target? Because I feel like this product can really serve banks and financial institutions. For example, those that do have the power to, transfer wires and things like that. We're seeing a lot of cases where people are being impersonated on the other end. Something called business email compromise, where, maybe you meet in person with a supplier, sign the deal. Then 18 months later, they send an email saying, hey, can we change the bank account info? And then you end up wiring it to a fraudster who impersonated their email.
Yeah, for sure. So this kind of experience that you had growing up in the soccer scene and just with food and kind of changing that, I'm a big believer that a lot of things happen around food. We exchange a lot of ideas around food. It's kind of this thing like literally breaking bread together. You kind of do this. So do you want to just talk about how that experience around soccer and kind of growing up in Denver with all these international things just influenced this idea? Besides your mom being a Trekkie, which I got to talk about that too. Like, that's really good. That's really good.
It's funny. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so like we constantly heads.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, but I would say like growing up with such a diverse group of people, you really start to think. I think, especially with technology, like being a techie too, you start to realize how different people use technology differently. And that's kind of been part of the design process. Is how do I make something that is culturally agnostic, such that someone could like take what I'm making and kind of use it in their own way. And I always think about how, I think this is kind of a universal thing. If you go up to someone in person and ask for $500 for your new crypto, company, like 99% of people, it doesn't matter where they're from, they're going to be like, get out of my face. But then why is it that online you send the same DM or email, and you get a 5 to 10%, quote unquote conversion rate of people who fall for your scam? So I think part of what I'm trying to do is take the natural, healthy skepticism that every human being has when it comes to like something that's too good to be true, and kind of embed that and digitize it and make security social in a way. Because we're already really good at kind of sussing people out. Like people are like, trust your gut, but it's hard digitally because we were always taught to just trust, what's on our screen or the link that we see on in our email.
So is one of your questions going to be, what did you have for lunch yesterday?
I mean, that's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one.
Yeah, you gotta have some like Founders Fridge inspiration for these questions for sure.
Absolutely.
All right. So is your diet similar to when you were a kid? Are you still reaching for peanut butter and honey when you need some comfort? It sounds like you still are eating gummies all the time. What does your food regimen look like now?
So it's kind of interesting. Like I'm currently on a gap year right now, but usually when I'm at RIT, I'm on the dining plan. And a cool thing about the way RIT does food is they have visiting chefs come every week. So different kind of food spots from around Rochester will kind of pop in once a week. So we have like Just Chicken. We have a Chinese food place that comes once a week. We have a Pakistani spot that comes once a week. So super diverse there. And I would say the one thing I've struggled with coming back to Denver while I'm working on my startup is having to cook for myself again. Because normally it's just like, oh, I'm hungry, walk over to the dining hall and like just pick up the food. So I've had to be a little more intentional. So right now for breakfast, I'm typically doing like yogurt with chia seeds in it. Oatmeal. I'm still like super big on oatmeal and like fresh fruit and oatmeal. And growing up, I guess a big food thing is I was lactose intolerant. So I like hooked on almond milk as like a tween and have never kind of really went back just because I love the taste of it. I think it tastes better than normal milk. Not that I usually do normal milk for like a smoothie still, but almond milk.
So you're not lactose intolerant anymore?
Not really. It's kind of something I grew out of. I don't know. Maybe it's the DNA maturing or something. So the oatmeal, and then definitely eggs every morning, 3 eggs, kind of solid foundation, sometimes bacon. And another a big piece about food too growing up is breakfast was a really big thing because my dad, he grew up on the East Coast. So him and his dad would always go to places like Dunkin' Donuts or IHOP or Perkins. So my dad would regularly cook pancakes from scratch or French toast from scratch. So kind of breakfast was a big thing in my household because it was to my dad, and he would always cook like Sunday morning before church or things like that.
If there's a meal that you're not going to skip, is it breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
I would definitely say, I would say dinner. I would say dinner. I wouldn't skip.
All right.
Dinner.
Who do you eat dinner with? Do you eat dinner by yourself or?
I mean, now it's typically it's funny. My mom is actually working on her startup right now too, so we'll usually do dinner together at the office, which has been kind of like fun to do.
It's cool.
Or if I'm out late, then I'll usually come home and cook something for myself. So I've been kind of on a chicken craze lately. It's just easy.
What does that mean? What does that mean? Just like cooking a chicken breast, or are you getting inventive with the chicken?
Yeah, just cooking a chicken breast. Like the recipe I sent you was actually for like this jerk chicken recipe thing that I've been doing and experimenting with. And I actually brought, just so you could see it, this little seasoning mix that is like savory.
There we go.
Yeah. So it's basically just like a Caribbean jerk mix. Because my dad recently got remarried, and his wife, she has kind of been doing like these different chicken meals that are seasoned differently, and she bought an air fryer, or they got an air fryer as a wedding gift or something. So I've been like trying to mess around with that, and I don't know, it's just like sorcery. And it's like the air fryer is actually...
The air fryer. I know, I don't even understand it. It is sorcery.
Yes,
it's totally sorcery. All right, so if something goes really well with the company, like you're celebrating, either you got an investment, are you raising money? Have you raised money is like the...
Not formally, no. I've been thinking about it. I've been trying to, like, I definitely think realxreal's venture scale. I'm a big fan of the product-led growth model, and it's funny because growing up, I always thought that's what entrepreneurship was, you grow as you sell more products. I do think it is venture scale, and I'm trying to navigate, and maybe that's one of my lessons learned so far, is really what does a VC want, and finding investors who align with your values and the values of your company. I want Real Recognized as Real to be a public benefit corporation. And, one of the primary missions is stopping fraud and deepfakes, and that really being the deciding factor as to how decisions are made within the company is what best serves people and best stops this issue, which may not always be something that is directly profit driven.
Totally. So, but when something what is like the best thing that's happened in the company recently?
I would say actually getting the demo done, like getting the MVP done. I'm a security nerd, so sometimes I get obsessed with like back-end security stuff because I'm like, it has to be like secure. I don't want anything to go wrong, especially being a security company. Like it would be terrible PR. But it was like, okay, let me just get the demo out. So at least for my pitch decks, I can have a little demo ready. So like just having that done has been really cool. So people can see the proof of concept. And it's perfect because I'm headed to a conference in December for like a major anti-scam conference. And I can't wait to kind of show these different stakeholders in KYC, know your customer, and anti-fraud and money laundering, like kind of what the product can do and the vision for it. So
awesome.
That's been a big win.
And so in that big win, what did you eat to celebrate?
I think I got Chick-fil-A.
That's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. And when something's going not so well, so like what was the latest, not failure you had, that's not what I would say, but the latest hardship you had with the company?
Definitely for my most recent deck, just trying to do the tam, sam, and som. I just like labored over for like 3 days. So it was just like, it wasn't even white rice, it was brown rice. Like that's how bad it was.
Are you just like crushing Welch's gummies while you're doing that, or like eating pizza, or consoling yourself in some way?
No, it was probably like just rice, beans, and
okay,
egg, for multiple meals straight.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's interesting. There are some founders who, when things are not going so well, they either stop eating, or which makes sense, or they eat like really greasy food. But then there are other founders who tell me like, oh no, in those times I gotta eat spinach, like I gotta eat rice. So that's interesting. You're like that in between where you're like, I have to have fast, nutritious food.
Yes, exactly. Because the air,
like I need
the pressure. Okay, the pressure. My stepmom has an air fryer and a pressure cooker, so I can get the rice done in like 3 minutes. It's weird. It's like 3 to 5 minutes in the pressure cooker. So.
We have a pressure cooker. I have to tell you, it is a game changer. A game changer for sure. As just busy people.
What else cooking it other than rice though? I guess that's what I don't know.
Yeah, so my wife cooks. I have to tell you, so listeners of this podcast will know that I am an extremely spoiled individual. So I used to own a restaurant, and when I had the restaurant, food became kind of very connected to work. A chef would quit and I would have to be in the kitchen for a couple weeks or whatever. And so food for me, I'm not really into the cooking anymore. It's not meditative to me. Part of this podcast is actually to try to get myself to be more excited about cooking. But my wife is so excited about cooking. It's insane. Like last night, she made me these Vietnamese inspired chicken wings, like some rice, and I'm not even doing it justice. And then like this amazing kind of like creamy sauce that I could dip these wings in. I'm going to text you a photo of this. It was like absolutely insane. So she cooks a lot of things in the rice cooker and I have no idea what they are.
That's fair.
Yeah.
It's a black box.
I think, it's lentils a lot of times or whatever, but I'm not cooking anything in this pressure cooker, which is embarrassing.
Well, yeah.
She'll tell me. Go ahead.
I was going to say, one thing I will say, though, is hearing you describe the meals, I can tell that you still have that foodie essence about you.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah.
You haven't, I just want to say you haven't lost it.
Yeah, okay, that's good. I just need to tap into it. Mm-hmm. All right, so what are you going to have for dinner tonight?
Tonight will probably be barbecue chicken that's in the fridge already cooked in Tupperware. And I have to cook some rice with it because there's no rice made.
There you go. But it's going to be that 4-minute rice or whatever, that 9-minute rice?
Yeah, whatever the pressure cooker says.
That's right. And then if we looked in your fridge, I ask everybody, if I looked in your fridge right now, like what would we see?
So definitely Chobani yogurt.
For your chia seeds in the morning?
Yes. Chobani, and then chia seeds are in the pantry, fresh blueberries, fresh strawberries, some orange juice, almond milk. There's oat milk in there. I think my dad bought that. There's oat milk in there. There is always like some sort of vegetable, like zucchini. Like my stepmom cooks with like a lot of zucchini and things like that, or squash. There's avocado oil butter. My dad's trying to be more healthy. Actually, it's not bad. And then bread and a couple other things in there. Yeah.
That's awesome. So for our final question, do you eat to live or do you live to eat?
I definitely think I eat to live.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yep,
I'm hoping to change it one day. Maybe after the post startup, because I actually do love cooking in the sense that I love cooking shows. Like some of my favorite documentaries are cooking related. So I like seeing other people live to eat.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Well, Jonathan, it was awesome to have you on. Thank you so much for being on Founders Fridge.
Thank you so much for having me. And don't forget that you still have it. You still got it.
Yeah.
You
still got that foodie essence. The foodie essence. Okay, good. Cool.
Yeah, success got the drive and the hunger. But what's on your dinner plate? What keeps you going longer? From shucking oysters to talking food with the founders. From quick snacks to the big contracts. The Founders Fridge.